provincial restrictions will force the closure of the local safe consumption site and others across Ontario. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Thunder Bay is losing its safe consumption site.
The Ford government announced today that it's shutting down more than half of the province's regulated safe consumption sites, including Path 525 at Norwest Community Health Centres on Simpson Street. Lee Noonan has that story. He joins us in studio. Lee, what kind of reaction are we seeing to this announcement?
Well, Ryan, Path 525 is actually the only safe consumption site registered anywhere in Northern Ontario. Officials at Norwest were not available for comment today, but we spoke with Holly Gauvin at Elevate NWO. She says the news is devastating for herself and her staff, who are out in the streets every day doing outreach work with drug users.
This shouldn't be political. This is absolutely disheartening that it's become a political issue, and to think that that our government is playing with the lives of our family, our friends, our neighbors.
Norwest Health Centre's Path 525 program will be shut down by March 31st under new provincial regulations announced by Health Minister Sylvia Jones.
We will ban drug consumption sites within 200 meters of schools and child care centers.
Path 525 is on Simpson Street, roughly 100 meters from Ogden Community Public School. The school board hasn't replied to our request for comment. Norwest officials have said they can't respond yet. Holly Gauvin, executive director of Elevate NWO, says her organization works hand in hand with Norwest and stands in solidarity with them. According to Gauvin, Path 525 has reversed 424 overdoses since the program started in 2019.
That's 424 lives that would have been lost. Overdoses that were reversed, 424 people in a city the size of ours. That's devastating. This city is already in the grips of overwhelming grief and loss.
The announcement also includes over $300 million in new funding for a variety of other programs, including addictions treatment, detox, and supportive housing. The policy is in keeping with comments made by the Premier at a stop in Thunder Bay earlier this month.
It's like putting an alcoholic outside the LCBO and telling them not to drink, but you'll get a bottle every single day. Doesn't make sense. We put money in. I'd rather put it into detox beds.
That's great, but what about the people who are unwilling and unable to access these treatment care and support, or who are not going to stop using? Do they no longer get to receive health care? If we can keep people alive long enough, they can make safer choices.
As of 2 years ago, Norwest also offers the region's only Safer Supply program, which offers drug testing for lethal ingredients. The province also announced they'll be preventing any new sites from participating in the federal Safer Supply program. It's unclear what that might mean here.
It's a really, really scary time to be in harm reduction work. If this is the writing on the wall, then we're all a little bit anxious about what we're going to see next.
Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Well, this decision by the Ford government impacts 10 safe consumption sites across Ontario.
The others are in the southern and eastern parts of the province. With more reaction to the news, here's CTV's Natalie Johnson.
In this Leslieville stretch of Queen East, where the Community Health Centre is home to a supervised consumption site, there are mixed feelings among residents about the provincial plan to shut down the service.
Given the realities of the opioid epidemic, I think it should sort of be all hands on deck at this point.
They're definitely needed, but I have a feeling because of the proximity to schools, it's a bit of an issue.
It was here that local mother of two, Carolina Hubner-Macarat, lost her life last year, fatally struck by a stray bullet during a shooting in front of the health centre, leading the government to review the consumption sites province-wide.
I think it became the excuse.
Community and crisis worker Diana Chan McNally says the province's plan prioritizes politics over policy.
If we close down a number of these sites, we're going to see a death toll rising out on our streets. And for people who are concerned about people using drugs, it will be much more visible. out everywhere. And again, we will have extreme loss of life.
We need supervised consumption sites, harm reduction, and treatment, a comprehensive system of care. And pulling away one aspect of that without any evidence whatsoever, based on quite simply fear-mongering, we're going to have a very, very detrimental effect.
Toronto's police chief saying the force will keep a close eye on the impact as part of its opioid crisis response.
We'll take it under consideration and make sure that we are looking at all the different impacts that these announcements have and that our response is appropriate.
The city's Board of Health chair, though, not mincing words.
If sites are forced to close, we will see more public drug use in our parks and in our laneways. We will see more discarded needles on our streets.
In Leslieville, despite the tragedy that occurred here last summer, there is compassion for the people who rely on this consumption site.
If people had more empathy, they would not let things like that close.
Where are they going to go? This is an ongoing issue in Toronto, I think, in general, that these people definitely need locations that can provide them support.
Support that the province says will come in the form of treatment.
And that was CTV's Natalie Johnson reporting. Norwest Community Health Centers issued a drug warning today to the community. The drug alert posted on social media involves a substance being sold as turquoise fentanyl, which in fact is rat poison. Norwest has had multiple clients hospitalized as a result. Elevate NWO Executive Director Holly Govan is thanking Norwest for putting out the warning quickly and says this situation could be deadly.
Which is just so disturbing to think that, we know that there's contaminated supply. We've certainly been well aware of that, but just learning today that some of it includes rat poisoning is really, really distressing to a lot of our harm reduction workers and outreach workers working in the field.
Norwest officials were not available for comment. The social media post encourages users to test their drugs at the Path 525 service at their Simpson Street location.
Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland believes he can have more of an impact now that he's part of the Ontario cabinet.
Holland has been named the Associate Minister of Forestry and Forest Products, a portfolio he says he's very comfortable with. Vasilios Bellis joins us live. And Vasilios, what does this mean for Holland?
Yeah, Riley, Holland believes he'll have more of a voice around the provincial table now and will be making visits to mills across Ontario. Now, that of course raises the question about the Terrace Bay mill closure. Holland remains committed to reopening the mill, but admits some things are out of the government's control. A local member of provincial parliament has seen a number of minor roles in the Ford government during his first term, and he's now part of the Ontario cabinet.
Humbled by it and immediately excited by the opportunities that was providing for me.
Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland has taken on the role of Associate Minister of Forestry and Forest Products. It's part of the Ministry of Natural Resources, and a file Holland says already makes up 60% of the work he does in his riding. The new Associate Minister admits that forestry is struggling, but believes he can make a positive impact on the industry and other issues concerning his riding.
On every topic that comes up and provide that perspective for Thunder Bay and direct, but broadly for Northwestern Ontario. As far as what it means for my roles, I believe much more engaged with the forestry sector all across the province.
One of Holland's new duties includes visiting mills across Ontario, with there still being significant concerns about the Terrace Bay mill. The facility has been closed since January, and Holland says his government's committed to reopening it.
Whether it's going to be opened up under the current owner or whether they find a buyer, we have to just be there to assist the communities and assist the workers until such time that there is an option put on the table for our consideration. A lot of the issues are outside of our control, of course.
As for the other MPP in the Thunder Bay area, Lise Vaugeois of the New Democrats, she congratulates Holland on his new role and believes he could have a positive impact on the region. Her concern lies with the movement happening within the Ford cabinet.
I think it's good to have somebody from the north on those files. It's been fairly chaotic, so there's a lot of change, and one could question what's going on that there's so much movement in the cabinet or so many ministers. It is the most expensive cabinet in the history of Ontario.
And Vaugeois goes on to say she's happy to have a louder northern voice at Queen's Park. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks so much, Vasilios. CN Rail has provided an update on the bridge that collapsed in Fort Frances last week. 5 Mile Bridge remains closed, but a CN spokesperson says progress continues in the cleanup. Workers are busy removing debris, which includes concrete and steel from the site of the collapse. CN's statement says the railway's focus is to safely and quickly restore service on the Fort Frances subdivision, which connects CN's network to Atikokan and the Port of Thunder Bay. It's too early to provide a timeline, according to CN, which is in close contact with customers affected by the closure. The railway adds they are working to reroute traffic wherever possible. CN also has engineers working alongside cleanup crews to assess options for replacing or repairing the bridge.
Residents in Nipigon and Greenstone are expressing concerns about the planned closures of their local beer store outlets.
The closures will take effect at the end of this month, with very little warning or advance notice. Justin Hardy was in Nipigon and has reaction from that community.
Many residents in both Nipigon and Geraldton were shocked to hear that their local beer stores would be closing their doors permanently after August 31st. Gordon McKenzie has been a part of the Nipigon community for a long time and has served on the town's council. He says he learned about the closure at the beginning of the month and has since written a letter to the CEO of the beer store to express how this will affect Nipigon.
It's very discouraging, and especially when you talk about the effect on locals, it's just not, people that consume alcoholic beverages, like from the beer store, but it's the restaurants, right, and the local businesses. And if you're going to have an event at the Legion, for example, and you want to be able to order in some product from the beer store, or if you're going to have a wedding, or if you're having an anniversary, it's all those things that are going to be impacted.
Well, truthfully, I'm not really happy about it because it is a big source of income, I guess, for the neighbors. We always, every long weekend, it's always packed here, and people are going camping and fishing, and it's a busy little place at times.
Mackenzie's letter also lists other effects of the closure, like the loss of local jobs, as well as the possibility that normally recycled liquor, wine, and beer containers could be diverted to the local landfill instead. Thunder Bay Superior North MPP Lise Vaugeois says the closures appear to be fallout from the deal between Ontario and the beer store to end their contract.
The beer store now has the right to start closing stores across the province. So to a large extent, they will be getting out of the business as the sale of beer moves into other locations. For the North, that means that not only will people may or may not have access to purchasing beer, but there's nowhere to take the empties.
Nipigon Mayor Suzanne Kuko says having another vacant building in the town, coupled with the loss of 2 jobs in the community, was a blow. But she hopes that local entrepreneurs will see this as an opportunity to add a new stream of revenue to their existing operations or even open a new business. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Local drivers can expect traffic delays on Thunder Bay's busiest street over the next few weeks. Resurfacing work is fully underway on a section of Arthur Street between Mountvale Avenue and James Street. As a result, traffic is reduced to 1 lane in each direction. Depending on the weather, the work is expected to take about 2 weeks to complete as crews remove and then repave the street. The approaches at the Mountvale and James Street intersections will also be closed as the work proceeds. City Engineering Manager Matthew Miedema says drivers should proceed with caution along that section of Arthur Street.
Businesses are open during this time there, so we encourage you to continue to maintain visiting local businesses, but please be patient. Arthur Street is a very busy street with construction going out 2 lanes, 1 in each direction. It will take you extra time to go through the construction zone through the area, so please be patient while we get this work done as quickly as we can.
Yeah, patience is certainly needed. It can be slow moving in
Absolutely.
that section now, especially around rush hour. All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now. And Haley, you're starting to get that sense that it is coming to the end of August. There's that little bit of crispness in the air in the morning and at night.
Oh yes, and I do not want to believe it, but it is true. The facts are here. We did have a low of 5 this morning at 7 in the morning, so very crisp if you left your window open, but we did warm up to a very comfortable day, actually a great day to get some construction done. So hopefully that helped move it along a little bit. We had a high of 21. We hit that around 1 in the afternoon, and we stayed at 21 fairly consistently up until this hour as well. And it's been a mainly sunny day, a little afternoon afternoon cloud coverage, but nothing too grand. And we actually have gotten sunnier at this hour as well. Humidex not playing too much of a factor, only making it feel 1 or 2 degrees warmer. Now, for the rest of the region, nice sunny skies have been the consistency, but not temperatures, as over to the west, they've been seeing a warmer day. Areas like Red Lake, Kenora, and Fort Frances are all at 26 at this hour, and the humidex over there is affecting them, making it feel more like 30 or 29 in those areas. And we've seen mainly sunny skies in Red Lake, a mix of sun and cloud in Kenora, and sunny in Fort Frances. Areas such as Sioux Lookout and Dryden, similar situation, just a little bit more cloud coverage here and there, and humidex playing slightly less of a factor. And then when we get to areas like Atikokan and Uppsala, almost true to what their temperature is, 23 in Atikokan right now, 21 in Uppsala, but still nice skies. And Armstrong, cooler right now as they've been seeing gusty winds around the east-southeast area, pushing around 30 kilometers an hour. So a little bit cooler there today, but still very sunny. And as we get to the east, tons of consistency there. 20 in Greenstone, Nipigon, Marathon, Wawa, and Sault Ste. Marie. And areas like Marathon and Wawa, this is their high of the day actually, because they've been sitting around 16, 17, and 18 for most of the day. So they are warming up, but this could be as hot as it gets for a while, as they're actually under frost advisories tonight. So if you have friends in those areas, tell them to cover up their gardens tonight. But for tonight in Thunder Bay, should be a clear evening, 6 degrees, so nothing to go into your swimsuit about, but still not on a freezing advisory, so that's good. But I'll have more details about what the night's going to look like for the region and elsewhere as we move on.
Okay, thanks a lot, Haley. Yeah, you don't want to be breaking out those swimsuits when the temperature there is falling to 6 overnight. All right, well, we know how expensive everything has gotten. It seems like it's getting more and more unaffordable to just go through life, but there is some good news. Inflation has fallen to its lowest level in about 40 months. That was back in 2021 when it was at a rate this low. We'll have details on that and more when your Tuesday News Hour continues right after the break.
For now, it's encouraging evidence. It keeps the Bank of Canada on track with the conviction necessary to cut again by a quarter point in September.